Everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. This time, we're taking a look at the crypto world, dissecting a recent video from Thinking Crypto.
Sounds good.
Yeah, they always pack their videos with so much good stuff. This one's got all the latest market trends, regulatory updates, and basically everything you need to know to stay ahead of the curve.
Right. I noticed they talked about how Bitcoin's cooling down after a pretty strong run.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was kind of wondering about that too. Is that something to worry about? I mean, a dip in Bitcoin, that usually sets off alarm bells, doesn't it?
Not necessarily. Even in a bull market, assets need to consolidate their gains. It's totally normal.
So it's like catch your breath time.
Exactly. This cool down is actually a good thing. Gives Bitcoin a chance to establish stronger support levels that can lead to more sustainable growth in the long run.
Okay, so it's like taking a breather before the next leg of the race. That makes a lot more sense. But I also noticed that the video talked about how Bitcoin cooling down impacts altcoins. What's the connection there?
Well, as Bitcoin stabilizes, some investors might start looking for opportunities elsewhere.
Makes sense.
It's a classic case of money flowing to where it sees the potential for better returns. So yeah, that means the altcoin market.
Ah, so it's like a ripple effect across the whole crypto market, almost like one domino knocking into the next. The video mentioned XRP as an example. It's had a recent breakout, right?
Yeah, and they even compared XRP's chart to Cardano's surge earlier this year.
Interesting. Does that mean XRP is about to steal the show?
Well, past performance doesn't guarantee future results, but XRP's surge definitely presents some interesting possibilities.
For sure.
Especially considering XRP's role in cross-border payments. This recent activity could mean that more and more people are confident in its utility.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Uh-uh.
But let's be realistic here for a second. Not every altcoin is going to explode like that, right?
You got it. It's important to remember that the crypto market is volatile. Always a good idea to approach it with a bit of caution and do your own research before investing.
Great advice. Speaking of making smart moves, remember in our last deep dive we talked about Charles Hoskinson, Cardano's founder. He hinted at a collaboration with the XRP community.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guess what?
Yeah,
It's actually happening.
that's right. Both Hoskinson and Ripple's CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, have confirmed that they're in talks. They even exchanged tweets about it,
Oh, wow. Must have missed those tweets. What are they saying?
just acknowledging the potential for collaboration.
And what about Hoskinson? What's he saying?
Well, one of his tweets said, "I'm excited to see how the future unfolds."
You and me both. This could be huge. What kind of possibilities are we talking about here?
The video host suggested that Ripple's stablecoin, RLUSD, could be integrated onto the Cardano blockchain. That would give RLUSD a much wider reach.
Okay, so how would that benefit both Cardano and Ripple?
Think about it. More users and developers. If RLUSD is on Cardano, it could attract more people to both ecosystems. More activity, more growth. It all comes down to liquidity and transaction volume in the end.
Yeah, true. So looking at the bigger picture, what does all this mean for someone who's just trying to understand the crypto world?
It's a trend we're seeing more and more of. Collaboration, interoperability in the crypto space. It's a good thing.
I could see that.
We're moving away from isolated projects and toward a more interconnected ecosystem. Could lead to greater stability and wider adoption of cryptocurrencies overall.
It's fascinating to see how it's all evolving. And speaking of evolution, there's a lot happening on the regulatory front, too. The video mentioned Canary funds filed for an HBAR spot ETF. That's right after they launched their HBAR trust, too. Can you break that down for us? What does that all mean?
Sure. An ETF is basically a basket of assets that you can buy or sell on an exchange, just like a stock. And a spot ETF tracks the price of the underlying asset, which in this case is HBAR.
Got it. So why is this such a big deal for HBR?
It makes it easier for investors to get in on the action. Institutional investors, retail investors, anyone. It gives them a regulated, accessible way to participate in the HBR market, could really open things up and attract a wider range of investors.
Makes sense. And I think the video host mentioned something about how this filing, along with the anticipated change in SEC leadership and a pro-crypto stance from the incoming administration, could signal a more favorable regulatory environment for crypto in general.
That's true. There are definitely some positive signs. But regulations can be complex. It's still early, and the situation's always evolving, so we need to be careful about making any premature conclusions.
Okay, so things are looking up, but it's important to stay informed and be realistic about the situation.
Exactly. Now, there was another interesting development the video talked about. The meeting between crypto industry representatives and Federal Reserve Governor Bowman. They were discussing stablecoin regulation.
Oh yeah, that was interesting. So why the focus on stablecoins? What makes them so important?
Well, they aim to maintain a stable value, usually pegged to the US dollar. They're kind of like a bridge between traditional finance and the crypto world. They offer a more stable store of value within the crypto ecosystem.
Okay, that makes sense. And this meeting with Governor Bowman, what does that tell us?
It shows that regulators are starting to take stablecoins seriously. They see the potential.
Interesting.
They're looking at ways to integrate them into the existing financial system while also addressing any potential risks. Clear regulation could pave the way for mainstream adoption, which would really legitimize the use of stablecoins in everyday transactions.
So it's a step towards wider acceptance. And you know what else is interesting? Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong's recent statements on CNBC about the future of crypto. He was pretty bold, saying it's the next version of the stock market, but it's also the next version of the internet.
Yeah, this statement's definitely caught my attention.
So let's unpack that a bit. What would a crypto-powered stock market look like?
Imagine a world where financial markets are decentralized and transparent, where transactions settle instantly, everything is secure, and anyone, anywhere, can participate without needing a traditional brokerage account. That's what Armstrong is talking about.
And what about crypto as the next version of the internet? That's mind-blowing.
It is. It refers to the idea of a decentralized internet built on blockchain technology. Think about it. Users have more control over their data, online interactions, everything. Social media, e-commerce, all powered by crypto and blockchain. That's the future he envisions.
Wow, those are some ambitious ideas. What would be the biggest challenges in getting there?
Well, for one, scaling blockchain technology to handle that volume of transactions. We're talking a global financial system, a decentralized internet. That's a huge task. And then there's the regulatory side of things.
Yeah, that's true. What else?
Finding that balance, fostering innovation, while also protecting investors and consumers, that'll be key to the success of crypto in the long run.
It's a lot to consider. But one thing's for sure. Crypto is never boring.
Absolutely not. And there's even more to talk about. The video also goes into the growing institutional interest in crypto and how that's shaping the landscape.
Okay, let's get into that.
So yeah, picking up where we left off, the video also talks about all this institutional money flowing into crypto.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to see these big players like BlackRock and Fidelity jumping into the crypto game. What are they after? Just quick profits, or is there a bigger strategy here?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. The potential for big returns in a relatively new market, that's definitely appealing. But these institutions are also pretty savvy. They're looking at ways to hedge against inflation, protect their investments in these uncertain economic times.
So they see crypto as a way to diversify their portfolios.
Exactly. Traditional assets like stocks and bonds, they tend to move in the same direction. Crypto offers a degree of uncorrelation. It's like spreading your bets, you know?
Yeah, like betting on different horses in a race. You never know which one's going to pull ahead.
Exactly. And as the crypto market matures and regulations become clearer, institutions are getting more comfortable with the risks involved.
So they're starting to see crypto as a more legitimate asset class, one with long-term potential.
Right. And speaking of regulation, the video also highlighted Canary Fund's recent filing for an HBAR spot ETF. It came right after they launched their HBR trust, too.
Yeah, that caught my attention. Seems like a pretty significant move.
It is. It could make it a lot easier for investors, both big and small, to get involved with HBAR.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't Wall Street wizards, what exactly is a spot ETF, and why is it so important for a cryptocurrency like HBAR?
So an ETF is basically like a basket of assets that you can buy or sell on an exchange, just like a stock. A spot ETF tracks the actual price of the asset it represents, in this case HBAR. That's different from a futures ETF, which is based on contracts to buy or sell the asset at a future date.
So with a spot ETF, investors are directly exposed to HBAR's price movements.
Exactly. And since ETFs are traded on regulated exchanges, they offer more transparency and investor protection. That's important in the crypto world, which can still feel a bit like the Wild West sometimes.
True, it does make the whole thing seem more legitimate. It sounds like this move toward a spot ETF for HBR could be a sign that crypto is going mainstream, becoming more regulated, and maybe even more appealing to traditional investors.
That's one way to look at it. And the video host pointed out that this filing, combined with the upcoming change in SEC leadership and the new administration's pro-crypto stance, could be a sign of a more favorable regulatory environment for crypto as a whole.
That's encouraging news for crypto enthusiasts like me. But as you said earlier, things can change quickly in this world. Better not to get too carried away.
Always good to stay grounded. We're still in the early stages of crypto regulation, and there will definitely be some bumps along the road. But it does feel like the overall trend is moving towards greater acceptance and integration of crypto into the traditional financial system.
I hope so. Okay, so we've got institutional interest, some positive developments on the regulatory front, and this overarching narrative of crypto going mainstream. It's almost like we're witnessing the birth of a new financial system.
That's a powerful idea. But as with any major shift, there are challenges to consider. The video raises a really important question. How will all this institutional money and influence impact the original vision of decentralization? Remember, that's what really drove the early crypto movement.
That's a great point. Crypto was initially all about empowering individuals, taking control away from those big centralized institutions, and now they're the ones rushing to get a piece of the pie.
It's a fascinating dynamic. On the one hand, this institutional involvement brings a lot of benefits: capital, legitimacy, infrastructure. But on the other hand, there's always the risk that these institutions could exert their influence in ways that undermine the decentralized ethos that made crypto so revolutionary in the first place.
So how do we reconcile these two seemingly opposing forces? How do we balance the desire for mainstream adoption with the need to preserve decentralization?
That's the million-dollar question. And the video host, wisely, doesn't offer any easy answers. It's a conversation that the entire crypto community needs to be having.
Absolutely. And that's a conversation we want all of you listening to be a part of, too. What do you think the future of crypto should look like?
And what role do you see yourself playing in shaping that future?
As you continue to explore the world of crypto, think critically about these questions. What opportunities excite you? What potential pitfalls should we be wary of?
And how can we ensure that crypto evolves in a way that aligns with the values of transparency, inclusivity, and individual empowerment that drew so many of us to this space in the first place?
These are big questions, but I think they're worth asking. After all, the future of crypto is being written right now, and we all have a part in shaping that narrative. It's easy to get lost in all the numbers and charts and market trends.
It really is.
But at the end of the day, crypto is about people. It's about how this technology can actually make a difference in people's lives.
Right. The video had a whole segment on just that. People using crypto in some amazing ways.
Yeah, I saw that.
People using crypto to access financial services, support their families, build businesses, especially in places where traditional systems haven't worked for them.
It's pretty powerful stuff. It reminds you that crypto is more than just an investment, It can really drive change, improve lives.
And the video also talks about the role of policymakers in all of this. Governments around the world are trying to figure out how to regulate this new technology. Their decisions will have a huge impact on how crypto develops and gets adopted.
Yeah, true. It's a tough job they have.
Yeah.
How do you foster innovation without stifling it? How do you protect people without holding everything back?
It's a tough balance to strike. And it's not just about finding the right regulations, it's also about education.
Right.
Making sure people understand how crypto works, promoting financial literacy, and creating a supportive environment for businesses in the crypto space.
So it's not just on the policymakers, it's on all of us. Individuals, developers, entrepreneurs, we all have a part to play.
And that brings us back to that big question we keep coming back to. What do we want the future of crypto to look like?
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it? Do we want a future where crypto is just absorbed into the existing financial system? Or do we want it to maintain its independence, challenge the way things are done?
It's a tough choice. There's no easy answer. And whatever path we choose, it's going to be messy.
For sure. But the important thing is that we're having these conversations. We're thinking critically about the choices we make because those choices will shape the future of crypto.
Absolutely. The future's being written right now, and we're all part of the story.
This deep dive has been incredible. We talked about the crazy ups and downs of the crypto market, the potential of stablecoins, the influence of big institutions, and the role of individuals like you and me.
It's been a wild ride.
It has. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is that crypto is at a crossroads. The decisions we make today will have ripple effects for years to come.
No doubt about it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a few thoughts. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged. The world of crypto is constantly changing. It's a fascinating, sometimes frustrating, but ultimately empowering space to be a part of.
And we want to hear from you. What resonated with you today? What are you still thinking about? Share your thoughts. Join the conversation.
The future of crypto is a collaborative effort. It's a journey we're all on together, and that's what makes it so exciting. So until next time, keep exploring the incredible world of crypto.